Between July 1969 and December 1972, a total of 6 missions landed on the lunar surface. 6 Apollo missions: 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17, with of course 13 being unable to because of an oxygen tank explosion. But there was a secret issue that they weren't aware of until they landed on the moon that proved to be extremely significant for the missions, and this is lunar dust. So if you looked at iconic photos like this one, you'll know that the moon's surface is kind of like a beach on Earth, as of course you can leave footprints into it that are embedded within the surface of the moon itself. And these are formed through micrometeorite collisions over hundreds of millions of years, which pulverize the material to form these small particulates. And this is unlike sand on Earth though, which is already annoying as it is very coarse and rough. However, on the moon, there's no wind or water to erode down this sand, so it remains incredibly sharp and is therefore a huge danger to astronauts on the moon with prolonged exposure. So basically what happened once the astronauts started landing on the moon and started doing EVAs on July 21st, 1969 on Apollo 11, was this lunar dust, as it was incredibly sharp, started breaking through the seals on their spacesuits. And in fact, on the later mission of Apollo 17, which spent 74 hours on the lunar surface, of which 22 were spent outside, it actually managed to erode through the outer pressurized layer, which was made out of stainless steel, and into the second layer of the spacesuits, causing a huge amount of damage and notable things such as leaks of air starting to come out of the spacesuits. Other slow rates, the astronauts obviously didn't just suddenly lose all their air and die on the lunar surface, but Harrison Schmitt, one of the astronauts on Apollo 17, noted that the air pressure on his suit was starting to fall significantly by the time of their third and final EVA on the lunar surface. And in fact, their spacesuits were approaching the limit of their operational capabilities by the time they finished their missions on the moon. And this problem is just made worse by the fact that this lunar dust is basically charged by the sun as it rises up over time on the lunar surface, and then it gets into the sunlight, which then charges it. And this means it sticks abrasively and incredibly well to fabrics and velcros, which means it's incredibly hard to get it off, and it easily stuck to the spacesuit outer layers of the Apollo astronauts. And it also caused other problems, such as when they brought rocks back from the moon, they put them inside of these vacuum sealed containers because they didn't want the atmosphere of Earth to impact them in any potential way. But this lunar dust was actually able to break these vacuum seals, which meant when they opened these lunar rocks back on Earth, they had already been inside of Earth's atmosphere for quite some time though. And this lunar dust is continuing to be a problem for any future missions to the moon, such as the Artemis missions. And because it wasn't really known about before, it wasn't anticipated, and it almost broke their spacesuits, lunar dust almost ended the Apollo missions.